As part of America's historical triangle, Yorktown is the least visited of the three locations. In a brief social media survey asking if anyone had visited Yorktown, out of the 7 people who chose to respond, only 1 had visited anything historical and no one had visited the American Revolution Museum. One stated, "Isn't it just a field? Why should I go there?" And with that question, my heart sank. That field is what secured a victory for the colonists, ensuring independence from British tyranny. In 2021, that field may look like any other field, but 240 years ago, that field witnessed the strategy, the hard work, and the bravery that culminated in an absolute victory for Washington and the Patriot forces. Beneath a dark and cloudy sky, a gentle rain fell on this field where Washington's sappers dug in silence in order to take the British by surprise. The next morning, Cornwallis woke to find a new 2,000-foot-long trench a mere 600 yards from his fortifications. With the Americans and French now within an arm's distance, Cornwallis sank a dozen of his own sailing vessels in the York River. Just one more in a series of, quote, bizarre and misguided decisions that would lead to an American victory, end quote. Over the next couple of weeks, the American-French forces had encroached to within 150 yards. With almost constant battery of the town, Cornwallis realized what a poor decision destroying his only hope of retreat was. He ordered his men to build 16 large rowing boats to attempt an escape across the river. He divided his troops into 3 groups, but only the first one made it safely across. The next morning, Cornwallis decided that it would be, quote, wanton and inhumane to the last degree to sacrifice the lives of this small body of gallant soldiers who had ever behaved with so much fidelity and courage by exposing them to assault from which the numbers and precautions of the enemy could not fail to succeed, end quote. This field witnessed it all. The war would continue for another 2 years, but Yorktown was the site of the last major campaign. Historian Sarah Kinkle asserted, quote, the 1781 Battle of the Chesapeake led to Cornwallis' surrender at Yorktown, but it did not have to lead to the end of the war. Yorktown was a death blow politically, not militarily, as it forced George III to dismiss his pro-war administration and bring in men who had favored peace all along, end quote. Sarah Goldberger maintains that Yorktown was a unifying event for the embattled 13 states. So the question remains, does the importance of Yorktown still resonate 240 years later? Founded in 1682, Yorktown itself is a quaint hamlet that offers multiple beaches along the York River, with several mom-and-pop style shops, as well as dining in the Waterman's Museum. A quick search will show all that the town has to offer, for which a small place is actually quite a lot. What is missing, though, is an emphasis on the history that bookends the town. To the east of town is the actual battlefield, which is now under the protection of the National Park Service. Within the visitor center, you will find a small museum, a gift shop, and a brief film that gives an overview of what happened. However, the best offering is one of the tour of the grounds with one of several park guides that offer a presentation and a unique point of view. The park also offers a CD guided drive-through tour that takes you around to various sites that are associated with the siege and subsequent surrender. To the west, you will find that the American Revolution Museum. Opened in 2017, it is considered a living history museum featuring 3 outdoor sections, including an example of the 18th century encampment, a musket firing demonstration, and a typical, fully functional colonial farm complete with kitchen, garden, and blacksmith area. Inside the museum, you can experience a plethora of hands-on activities intermingled with artifacts spanning from 1763 through the founding era, as well as 2 different movies that help supplement visitors' understanding of what they are seeing. Unfortunately, Yorktown is often overlooked in the fame of colonial Williamsburg and Jamestown. If I am honest, for the majority of my life, I had never visited Yorktown. In 2019, my son and I traveled to Yorktown, and it quickly became one of our favorite places to visit. Since then, we have gone back 5 times, an opportunity afforded to us by the fact that we only live 3.5 hours away. The waterfront area is lovely, don't get me wrong, but it is the tranquility of that field, The knowing that I am standing on a field that witnessed one of the most important battles in our country's history. To realize that when we visit historical places, that we allow ourselves to succumb to the knowledge that we are but a small blip in the timeline of world history. And for a moment, we can interact with those that came before us. That is the power, the magic, and the reason why historic locations are more than just a field.